Okay, good morning to everyone and welcome to today's webinar, Future of Tourism Education. Before we get started, I would like to go over a few items so you will know how to participate in today's event. You will have the opportunity to submit text questions to today's presenters. There are few presenters from overseas who have joined us by typing your questions into the chat box, or if you wish to ask a verbal question, please click on the blue raising hand icon to process when it's appropriate. You may send your questions from the time that the presentation starts, which we have already arranged a small clip after the introduction, which I am already giving. So we will collect all the questions and address them during the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. And if you experience any issues in hearing today's webinar, maybe me or maybe the presenters or the clip that we are going to play, please let us know so we can rectify it soon as possible. So I would now like to welcome our speakers for today, Dr. K. Thirumaran. We call him Dr. Thiru, Academic Head of Business, James Cook University of Singapore, one of the leading international universities. And Dr. Thiru is specialized in business, tourism, environmental science, IT and aquaculture and urban planning and design as well. He holds a PhD from National University of Singapore as well. So welcome, Dr. Thiru.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Thiru, for joining us today for this session. Hope you will give us a clear picture of the global context in terms of tourism and what is the tourism future of tourism education. Next, Mr. Chris Matombe, Director, Digital Marketing, Tourism Board of Seychelles. Chris have been in the digital marketing and e-tourism sector for past 9 years, and he's a well-experienced person. Chris is spearheading the Seychelles Tourism Board effort to digital transform the tourism industry and increase the digital exposure for all tourism-related businesses in Seychelles. So we hope he will give his thoughts and he will add a fantastic value for this presentation and Q&A. Thank you, Chris, for accepting our invitation with short notice, and hope you will give your thoughts in digitalization in tourism as well as the future of tourism education. Next, Dr. Shamini Pereira, Senior Lecturer and Head of Faculty Business School, Sri Lanka Technological Campus. Dr. Shamini is not only the Head of Faculty of Business School, she also leads the Office of Mentoring and Coaching at SLTC. She's also a management consultant, corporate trainer, and a certified coach and a mentor by International Authority of Professional Coaching and Mentors. She holds a PhD in management that specializes in tourism from Management and Science University in Malaysia. So next, Dr. Binushi Narangoda, Senior Lecturer of Business School, Sri Lanka Technological Campus. So Dr. Binushi also leads the Center of Excellence in Travel, Tourism and Hospitality for SLTC. She inherits a vast experience in hospitality sector as well, in manufacturing sector, healthcare sector, and banking with managerial positions. And she holds a PhD in business administration as well. So I just gave a small brief about the presenters. Now we can look at the presentation. Thank you.
Is a rapidly changing industry where we need to be updated and innovative. So we always try to adapt with the changing technology and international standards. Our students at CETTH at Sri Lanka Technological Campus are given the opportunity to experience the industry by offering the industrial training as a part of their degree program to apply the theories that they learn. So our students exposed to all the areas of tourism such as hotel operation, aviation, travel agency operation, event organizing and tourism marketing.
Our aim is to create knowledge as well as create more entrepreneurs in the field of tourism and hospitality. Therefore, we at SLTC, we offer 2 specialized degrees in tourism and hospitality. One is Bachelor of Science in E-Tourism and Digital Marketing, as well as Travel and Tourism Management.
Sri Lanka Technological Campus offers a wide range of degree programs from all our schools, including the School of Business, Engineering, Music, IT and Computing and Technology. So all our faculty is aimed at disseminating knowledge as well as creating new knowledge through active participation in the research engagements that we do in collaboration with the industry and the public sector. Therefore, we strive towards developing graduates who are our students to be graduates who will be making sound business decisions by involving them in a learning environment that is actively involved in research activities.
Hello everyone, I am Shamudya Sanketi from Sri Lanka Technological Campus. I believe I made really good decision to follow tourism degree at Sri Lanka Technological Campus. Tourism industry provides lots of career opportunities such as aviation, hospitality, travel and even more. And also, I really enjoyed learning method of Sri Lanka Technological Campus because it provides practical exposure and industrial training also.
I'm a student of SLTC campus and I'm following a degree of Tourism and Hospital Management. As a Tourism and Hospital Management student, I can express there are numerous amounts of benefits that anyone could get through a degree just like Tourism and Hospital Management, such as actually Tourism Management actually teaches you like how to deal with the people, how to cope with the people, how to work with the other people, how to build a good rapport.
What we can do is, as a student, you should understand that now SLTC already established the blended learning model, what we call hybrid method, right? So, use the technology. We have already developed a good platform for you to train your subject knowledge. At the same time, we have already arranged the facilities for you to obtain experiences. So, during this period of time, what you should do, use all these opportunities to enhance your inborn talents to be a worldwide respectable and acceptable graduates.
Thank you. Thank you for the video. So now we're going to begin the answering the questions by today's presenters. As a reminder, you can still submit your questions by using the chat box or verbally. You can ask your questions one at a time. Thank you.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. You can ask the question, please. Yes.
Yeah, I have a question. Actually, I'm representing the students who are eagerly ready to step into the tourism industry in Sri Lanka or elsewhere. But now we all have second thoughts because there is some level of uncertainty, instability, and risk associated with this sector. We have no much idea how the industry will be, how will be the job security, whether the industry will recover, whether the jobs in Sri Lanka and abroad. Those are the questions come into our minds. So we know that until the last year, the trend has been very clear. The global tourism industry was booming. The demand for highly qualified specialists was increasing. But now in this corona crisis, now putting an abrupt in this trend. So I want to ask this question on behalf of the students community and the prospective students in Sri Lanka who was and still waiting to join the tourism industry, and how our future will be in this industry. With all these challenges, why someone should still study tourism or hospitality programs? So I would like to ask this question from being the specialist in global tourism industry, Dr. Tirumaran, academic speaker in tourism from Singapore. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ramesh, can I answer the question?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. And first of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Binushi and her team for this invitation, and to Mr. Ramesh for giving quite a long, accoladed, introduction. So here's the answer to the question. I hope I'm not long-winded. Stop me if I am. You see, the education landscape is definitely affected by ongoing health pandemic, COVID-19. There is a principle of tertiary education cycle vis-a-vis economic cycle. So what this cycle or model is that when the economy is down, the tertiary education, meaning university education, goes up. That is because people are using this opportunity to go to the university to enrich themselves, to wait for the turn in the economy cycle, to get ready and then get back into the working world. And that's what happens traditionally. So in this ECEC model, which I refer to, is a very simple model. More people go to school when the economy is down, and less, not say less people, but the education sector, the tertiary level, becomes balanced when the economy is doing very well. But there are exceptions, and as you rightly pointed out, there are fears as to what will happen to people who are studying tourism or who are really interested in tourism at this point of time. So we have to take a really broader view. If you read the newspapers, particularly coming out from the United States, they are on a recovery phase. Even with the pandemic still raging, they have found that domestic travel is now beginning to pick up. But they don't have enough people in the tourism sector, because what had happened during the pandemic is that people lost their jobs and people looked for jobs in other sectors. Now, we can't blame that situation. But then when the economy starts to pick up, there is just not enough people to run the hospitality trade. So according to the International Labour Organization, just before 2019, sometime around November, December, the data shows somewhere around 23 over million people working in the tourism sector, particularly in the Asia Pacific region, Sri Lanka included. And in 2020, the numbers fell somewhat to about 15.3 million. And the numbers could further drop or go back up depending on how each country manages. So the crucial question that you have asked is, how do I get ready for the next turn when things calm down, when the pandemic goes away? So there are two things to think about. So if you are really interested in tourism, now is the really best time to upgrade, reskill, and enrich yourself in any way you can in the context of, in the context of acquiring the knowledge of how the tourism industry works. And also by acquiring those knowledge, when the industry opens up, you'll find plenty of jobs. You know why? Because people have emptied the space for you and they have looked for other jobs. And now they are working in other jobs. They might not feel like, they already have a stable job. They may not want to come back to the tourism industry. So you will find in Sri Lanka and in many countries, including Singapore and around the world, that there will be plenty of opportunities if you continue to pursue your education in tourism. And tourism is in a what do you call empty bubble right now. That means there's a lot of people desiring to get out of their country, out of their home, and travel beyond the shores. And definitely there is a lot of favorable prospects moving forward, at least if not by late 2021, at least the beginning of 2022, once the vaccination reaches almost every corner of the planet. And I will end some of these points. I'll add some more points a little later, but I'll have other panels if they would like to jump in.
Thank you, Dr. Thiru.
Sure.
Thanks for your very ideas. Is anyone willing to add a few more points on this topic, or are we going for the next question? Yeah, so everyone, ඔයගලන්ට සිංහලෙන් ප්‍රශ්න අහන්න පුළුවන්. කිසිම දෙයකට බය වෙන්න එපා. සිංහලෙන් ප්‍රශ්න අහන්නත් පුළුවන්, ඉංග්‍රීසි වලින් ප්‍රශ්න අහන්න පුළුවන්. අපේ විදේශිකයෝ තුන් දෙනෙක් විතර මේකට සම්බන්ධ වෙලා ඉන්නවා. ඔයගලන් සිංහලෙන් ප්‍රශ්න අහන්න ඕන නම් ටයිප් කරලා ඉවන්න. අපි ඔබ වෙනුවෙන් ඒක ට්‍රාන්ස්ලේට් කරලා අපිට අහන්න පුළුවන්. So if anyone have another issue or anything to ask from the panelists, please go ahead. Thank you.
මීළඟට මම කැමති දැනගන්න කොවිඩ් වසංගත තත්ත්වය තුළ සහ පසු කාලවලදී සංචාරක ආගන්තුක සත්කාර කර්මාන්තය ලෝකයේ වැඩිම බලපෑමක් ඇතුළු කර්මාන්තය විදිහට අපි දකිනවා. පසුගිය වසර එකහමාර තුළ මේ වසංගත තත්ත්වයත් එක්ක සටන් කරමින් සංචාරක කර්මාන්තය යථා තත්ත්වයට පත් කිරීමට මුළු ලෝකයම මේ වෙනකොට උත්සාහ කරනවා. ඒ වගේම මේ සංචාරක කර්මාන්තය බාහිර පරිසරවල සිදුවන සුළු වෙනස්කම් වලට පවා හරිම සංවේදී ක්ෂේත්‍රයක් බව අපි දන්නවා. ස්වභාවික විපතක් වගේ දෙයක් වුණත් හැකියාව තියෙනවා මේ ක්ෂේත්‍රයට විශාල බලපෑමක් එල්ල කරන්න. නමුත් මේ ක්ෂේත්‍රයේ තිබෙන විශේෂත්වය තමයි අතීත සිදුවීම් වලින් සිදුවන බලපෑම් යටත් කරගෙන ප්‍රකෘති තත්ත්වයට පත්වීමේ හැකියාව ඉතාම වේගවත්. අපි විශ්වාස කරනවා ඒ හා සමානව මේ වර්තමානයේ තියෙන වසංගත තත්ත්වය සමනය වූ වහාම සංචාරක කර්මාන්තය ඉතා වේගයෙන් ප්‍රකෘති තත්ත්වයට පත්වීමේ මාර්ගය සොයාගනී කියලා. නමුත් මේ තත්ත්වය තුලදී හැමදේම වෙනස් වෙලා තියෙනවා සහ අනාගතයේදී පෙර තිබුණාට වඩා සංචාරකින්ගේ හැසිරීම්, සංජනනයන්, අපේක්ෂාවන්, ශාස්ත්‍රීය නීති පද්ධතිය, සේවා මට්ටම්, තාක්ෂණීය භාවිතය සහ ප්‍රවර්ධනය හා අලෙවිකරණය කියන කරුණු වෙනස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. දැනට මේ ශාස්ත්‍රීය පිළිබඳ අධ්‍යයනයේ යෙදී සිටින අනාගතයේදී මේ ශාස්ත්‍රයට එළඹෙන ඊළඟ පරම්පරාවට හිමිවන සංචාරක හා ආගන්තුක සත්කාර ශාස්ත්‍රයේ ස්වභාවය මොන වගේද? සහ ඔවුන් මේ වෙන විට පිළිගැනීමට සූදානම් විය යුත්තේ කෙසේද යන්න පිළිබඳව ඔබේ අදහස මම දැනගන්න කැමතියි. For the convenience of the audience and viewer, I would like to summarize this question in English. We all know that during the last 1.5 years, tourism industry has faced tremendous pressure in sustain and recovery. At the same time, we all know that the tourism industry is very sensitive to slightest changes in the external environment. But speed of recovery has been very fast during past events. Similarly, we believe that the tourism industry will find their own way to recover in the future. But everything will be different now, and in the future, all matters of tourism industry will be different. What is your opinion on how the next generation tourism industry will be in the world, and how we should be ready to accept the change? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. It's a very broad question. I would like if anyone from the panelists would like to add a few things on this.
Yes, Mr. Ramesh, thank you so much. And I agree that it's a very important question. So thank you so much for bringing out that question from the audience. I'll also try to keep my explanation bilingual as well. So ගොඩක් ස්තුතියි අපිට ප්‍රශ්නය යොමු කරාට සංචාරක කර්මාන්තය සම්බන්ධව හදාරන අපගේම දරුවන් විසින් මේ ප්‍රශ්නය අපිට යොමු කරේ. මම හිතන්නේ මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ මූලිකම එම් එක වුණේ දැනගන්න ඉස්සරහට සංචාරක කර්මාන්තයේ නියැලෙන අය හැටියට අපි මොන වගේ දේවල් වලටද ලෑස්ති වෙන්න ඕනි කියන එක. So what you need to look into the future of tourism is what you wanted to know as undergraduates who are studying in tourism. So to brief you a little bit about some information shared by the UN World Tourism Organization, එහෙම නැත්නම් එක්සත් ජාතික ලෝක සංචාරක ආයතනයේ data අනුව we can expect that there can be a 66% increase in international tourist arrivals at least by the end of year 2021 compared to the lowest records that were recorded in 2020. So I think that was the same direction that even Professor Thiru was also discussing previously. I think අපිට දැන් මේ බලාපොරොත්තුවත් එක්ක අපි ඉන්න තැන ඉඳලා ගොඩක් වෙනස් විදියට හිතන්න වෙනස් ආකාරයේ දේවල් කරන්න යොමු වෙන්න සිද්ධ වෙනවා. So having that data in hand, now we have to look at how best we can groom ourselves, looking at the opportunities that we might have in the future, right? So some areas that we need to, or we are compelled to relook at in redesigning in the tourism industry would be like safety and hygiene in the tourism, because it has become a trend. Your travelers, your guests are mostly looking into that. So we need people, we need to do the upskilling of people to come up with unique ways of bringing these new interventions into play in the tourism industry. So from the travelers' perspective, they will look at more leisure activities. එතකොට ඉස්සරහට එන අපේ සංචාරකයන් විවේකයේ වගේම leisure activities වලටත් යොමු වෙනවා වගේම ඒගොල්ලෝගේ සනීපාරක්ෂක ක්‍රම වෙතටත් ඔවුන් ගොඩක් යොමු වෙන අවස්ථා වැඩි. So there will also be a trend where even now we are experiencing in even some of the most leading tourism destinations where our target markets have shifted from international to local markets. So our industry is expanding depending on the local travelers as well. So their expectations are different compared to the international traveler. So අපේ රට තුල ගමන් කරන අපේම රටේ ඉන්න සංචාරකයන් සහ අපි විදේශ සංචාරකයන් ගත්තොත් දේශීය සංචාරකයන්ගේ කැමැත්ත බොහොමත් වෙනස් විදේශීය සංචාරකයන්ට වඩා. එතකොට අපිට පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ මේ දෙක අතර වෙනස හඳුනාගෙන ඒකට හරියන භාණ්ඩ හා සේවා ඔවුන්ට ඒ කියන්නේ අත්දැකීම් ලබා දෙන විදිහට හැසිරෙන්න සහ ඒ වෙනුවෙන් අපේ ફોකස් එක යොමු කරන්න. So that pulls us towards looking at new products and services that can differently identify the expectations of both international and the local travelers and to come up with innovative services. Apart from that, one major area that the tourism industry will depend on is on the dependency on digitalization, technology transformation. And so these areas would be like, for an example, how to maintain contactless payments, or how to incorporate voice search, voice control, virtual reality. I think we have a panelist who is an expert in that aspect, as well as in digital marketing, who is representing one of the leading tourism destinations such as Seychelles. So Chris would be able to give you all more insight on that in a little time. These are, incorporating the technology and expanding our services while maintaining and ensuring safety of our travelers is also of utmost importance today in the travel and tourism industry. එතකොට තාක්ෂණය යොමු කරගෙන අපි කොයි විදියටද e-tourism හෝ digital tourism වගේ දේවල් තුලින් මේ ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එක තව ඉස්සරහට ගෙනියන්න කියන එකට අපි යොමු වෙන්නට ඕන. ඊටත් අමතරව now there is another trend where people would like to travel as solo travelers. ඒ කියන්නේ තනි පුද්ගලයෙක් විදියට ගමන් කරන්න කැමති ගොඩක් අය. ඉතින් all these while, yeah, there was a demand for family, friends and groups to travel. But as we are focusing now, or we are compelled to focus on capacity management as well in the tourism industry while maintaining social distance, now there is also a trend where there could be many solo travelers. So in that aspect, how could we again ensure safety and develop new services, experiences to meet that requirement would be an area that we can also focus on. So sustainability and the ecotourism could be other areas or new products that we can look into. So what I want to tell you, share with you as undergraduates is that the skills that we gained in the tourism and hospitality industry previously has to be changed or reskilled in the future that we are moving into the tourism industry with these changes that are expected from our travelers, from our customers. එතකොට අපි මෙච්චර කාල අපි ඉගෙන ගත්ත දේවල් සහ මේ ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකේ අපි කරපු දේවල් වලින් ගොඩක් ඔබට ගිහිල්ලා අලුතෙන් දෙයක් කරන්න තාක්ෂණයත් එක්ක එකතු වෙලා අපි කොහොමද දේවල් කරන්න කියන එක ගැන යොමු වෙන්නට සිද්ධ වෙනවා. එතකොට අන්ඩර් ග්‍රැජුවේට්ස්ලා විදියට හරි ටූරිසම් ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එක ගැන හදාරන උසස් අධ්‍යාපන හදාරන දරුවන් විදියට අපිට සිද්ධ වෙනවා මේ නව කුසලතා නිපුණ කරගන්න. ඒ වෙනුවෙන් තියෙන අවස්ථාවන් මොනවාද කියන එක දැනගන්න. So we have to mold ourselves to perform in a both local and an international or a global environment if we are looking forward to a career in the tourism and hospitality industry. So let's all work together to develop our skills in these areas. It's nothing to be afraid of. There will be opportunities, there can be opportunities, but provided that you develop and commit yourself to continuously develop and upgrade your skills to be in the industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shamini. I think you have answered very, very specifically and given a good description about what we have to do, and exactly like solo travelers, I think isolated tourism, which is going to be a trend, and being a Asia Pacific in South Asian countries, so we are in the ideal location. So we would like to add more on these aspects. Am I right? Or?
Yes, correct.
Right.
You're very correct, Mr. Ramesh.
Yeah, so we can, anyone would like to add more? Dr. Thiru, you want to add something for this question? Or?
Sure, I can just add, I agree with Dr. Shamini on the redesigning of the tourism industry's workspace and a focus on the local market, and also the incorporation of technology. Just taking a little bit of a helicopter view in terms of a destination, now is the opportunity for a lot of emerging destinations to take stock of where do they want to go, and what actually the type of destination they want to be. Do they want to cater to mass market tourism, or do they want to cater to some sort of a niche market? And one of the niche market is, of course, luxury tourism. And also, in terms of technology is really rampant in the positive sense, and also could be in the negative sense. But nevertheless, it is something that young people, like many of us going to the university, getting a degree program, have to be flexible and understand technology. But I just want to emphasize the trend a little bit. And one of the trends is that the choice between mass tourism and luxury tourism and COVID-19. Now, how these three links. In mass tourism, you kind of interact with a lot of different people. You jump into a bus with a lot of different strangers, and you go on a tour, which is then restricted under COVID-19, or rather just a pandemic, let's call it, because there may be many more pandemics if it does happen. Hopefully it doesn't. But then again, if you go to an attraction like a zoo, a safari, or a jungle trekking, again, some of these sites are, in terms of mass tourism, again, you are being restricted. And then the government may stop all of these activities, and then it may impact on the economy, on the type of employment. So what is the strategy for young people to specialize in, as well as how do you then, prepare yourself for the future? Now, there are two strategies that one can think of. Of course, at the government level, they have to make that strategic decision, and nobody like me can tell them what to do, but except each country have to decide their own destiny. But if you think about it very carefully, in luxury tourism, let's say you land on a private jet, you're not mixing around with anybody, right? So that's one thing. The second thing is luxury tourism gives you a lot more receipts than mass tourism. Mass tourism, that means you got to make a lot of tourists come in, and then you make the money for a specific attraction or destination. So there again, that conundrum that is, that destinations have to think about. Then finally, if you are on a luxury yacht or on a limousine, you are not going to interact with the larger masses. You have your own private tour, you have your own private space, you're in your luxury resort. So coming down back to the primary question, so what type of job do I look? So the tourism industry actually offers a wide range of possibilities. And so young people like you, if you are looking for a job, and you want to end your university as your lecturers teach you a specific subject, kind of try to tilt towards luxury, because that's one of the biggest strategy that any government can think of, which is seldom thought about. And only now there is an emerging literature by a number of scholars, including myself, I would say, that this is one area that is really a way to enter into a safe zone, I would say, in terms of employment, in terms of managing the destination, and also getting the economy running, even during a crisis period. Other than the natural man-made, like, flooding, of course, flooding, you can't help it, but otherwise, some of the other disasters, if it is manageable, any type of tourism can take place so long as it is one that is in the context of luxury, I would say. That's just a point that I thought I would add. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thiru. Thanks for a valid. So there's another question. So we'll, if we have a text question, we'll try to translate it. So if there's any other questions, please go ahead. Any questions from the audience?
Maybe while the audience are crafting their question, I can just fill in a little bit. And then maybe my colleagues around the table here in the panel can also kind of respond. In Sri Lanka, you know, the biggest sector in the tourism industry is probably the food and beverage. Second, coming close to is the accommodation.
Yeah.
And how do you see moving forward that the food and beverage industry that is ancillary to the hospitality industry is managing or can manage moving forward? I'm sure they are drastically affected by the restrictions measures.
Certainly, yeah. As you said, I think it's basically the niche market has have overlapped the mass market, and now everybody's trying to get into the niche market where luxury boutiques and isolated tourism, then you have solo tourism, like private villas, and even the food and beverage aspect. I would say, like, what I have experienced is like now mostly people go for like small places rather than for big 5-star hotels for outings. So it has really made a change, I would say. Dr. Shamini, you want to add something? Or?
Yes, correct, Ramesh. As you very correctly said, yeah, there is a demand, but then again, people are concerned about their safety, hygiene factors as well. And at the same time, there is also a possibility that where we could promote a lot of authentic food, even to the local market. So there are opportunities provided that we introduce it in a very presentable manner, ensuring their safety.
Also, I would say, like, people are going back for basics, like going for Ayurvedic treatment, healthy food, trying to be more localized. So back to basics, I would say. Other questions from the audience?
Sir?
One has raised the hand.
Yes, Vishwa, you can ask.
Yeah. Hello, I am representing the tourism and hospitality management students, particularly undergraduate in Sri Lanka. And after having our degrees, our ultimate objective is to join with this gigantic industry. And so I would like to ask some questions from you, sir, Mr. Krish, because you are the best person, I think, to ask these questions, because you are one of the best experts in this digital tourism platform. And also you have succeeded throughout this pandemic period as a nation in terms of the development and implementations of new revolutionized digital technology in your country, Seychelles. So, sir, I would like to ask from you the current digital technological strategies that you have been executing simultaneously to encounter this pandemic crisis successfully in your country. And also, especially, sir, currently the Sri Lankan Technological Campus now offering us a digital marketing and e-tourism degree program. And sir, could you please let us know about your future predictions and thoughts regarding the studying this sort of a degree? Will it be a great opportunity for us, or are you still recommending us to do or follow the traditional degree regarding the tourism and hospitality management, sir? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you for your question. Good morning, everyone. So for us, what happened, what we've been planning for us to start digitally transforming our industry since 2019, and with COVID, what happened is we saw that this was really important for us to do and get it on track as fast as possible, because what we've noticed with the new trends is everyone now looking at our industry, looking at the services we have, they want to be able to see these services online and be able to reach these consumers directly. So with our, like Dr. Thiru said earlier, it's similar to Sri Lanka. Most of the bulk of our sector in tourism industry is accommodation. But then what we wanted to do as well is to connect the other services to that and make that part of the user journey. Because we don't want just visitors coming and staying in the accommodation, but then the other services not benefiting from the user coming and making use of this advantage. So what we did in terms of the transformation is we came up with an API that would collect all the information within the industry for all the businesses. It's just not your accommodation. It can be a mechanic, it can be a small shop, but anything in the industry that would allow us to connect. Sorry, the screen change. But anything in the industry that would allow visitors to be able to connect and be part of that journey. And what we've seen is, one, this has been easy to implement for us, but then for the various businesses, for them to make use of this technology and improve what they offer as part of this journey, this has been a challenge. So my advice to the prospective students is definitely digital marketing is something that's important. And what we've seen also is students who have an edge in terms of technology and knowing how to make use of technology to add value to the customer journey. These businesses with these skills in-house or making use of these skills, they have an edge compared to the other businesses who are still struggling to embark on the whole digital transformation and adding value to user journey. So in terms of trends, what we've noticed again is mobile is very important. And coming from Seychelles, we are still a very small country, and we've not really been adopting technology, digital technology, as fast as we would hope. So what we're working now on is working with the tourism businesses in Seychelles to make sure that whatever they are providing, the experience on mobile is one of the best experience they can provide to the visitors. Because if a user is coming on a mobile, but then the experience they are getting is not really up to the level that they are expecting, they will not come to your accommodation, they will not interact with your service, and you will lose that traffic. And right now in the pandemic, whatever traffic we are getting, we want to maximize that traffic, make sure we are making the best of the opportunities we get, and convert this traffic into actual bookings. And because like Dr. Tiruma Maran was saying earlier, what we do as Seychelles is we try to have a blend of luxury and not mass tourism, but not the luxury side, because we have a lot of businesses, a lot of accommodations who are not really 5-star hotels, 4-star hotels, and we need to push these businesses, give them the exposure so they can get the business as well. So we tend to have a mix between these two, and not focusing on mass tourism. Then this puts the pressure on the industry for us to be able to convert the maximum amount of traffic we are generating into actual bookings. And definitely, again, if you are well versed in the digital marketing sphere and you have the ability for you to use technology to gain a competitive edge over other businesses, other destinations, then this will allow you to ensure that your conversion rate you are getting on the traffic is as high as possible for you to be able to get the expected return. Also, not just with the return, but also making sure that you are giving the customers a very good customer experience, a very good journey, so that it doesn't backfire on you as a business at the end of the day.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for your wonderful answer. I think you have correctly said given the answer for the question. Is there any other questions?
Good morning, everyone. I have another question. How the SLTC tourism and hospitality degree programs align with the global industry requirements and the change in the industry? ඒ කියන්නේ මේ වෙනකොට global tourism and hospitality industry එකේ changes එක්ක මේ SLTC එකේ තියෙන degree programs, tourism degree programs ඒවට ගැලපෙනවද කියලා තමයි දැනගන්න ඕනේ.
Thank you. Would like to answer this question? I think Dr. Binoshi would be the ideal person to answer this.
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. And actually, that's a very important question for us as SLTC. I will use both the languages for the better understanding of the audience. So ශ්‍රී ලංකා තාක්ෂණික විශ්වවිද්‍යාලය විදිහට ගත්තොත් ටුවරිසම් අධ්‍යාපනය ටුවරිසම් මැනේජ්මන්ට් සංචාරක කළමනාකරණ අධ්‍යයනය වෙනුවෙන් degree programs 3ක් තියෙනවා. එකක් තමයි travel and tourism general degree and the travel and tourism specialized degree අවුරුදු 4කින් complete කරන සහ e-tourism and digital marketing කියන degree එක. මේ degrees තුනම අපි හදලා තියෙන්නේ නව ලෝකයට අලුත් ලෝකයට ගැලපෙන විදිහට සහ සංචාරක කර්මාන්තයේ වෙනස් සිදුවන වෙනස් වීම වලට අනුකූල වන ආකාරයට. දැන් ඉස්සෙල්ලා අපේ කතා කරපු පැනලිස්ලා ඔක්කොම කතා කරා සංචාරක කර්මාන්තයේ ඉදිරියේදී ඇති වෙන්න පුළුවන් පිබිදීම සම්බන්ධයෙන්. අපි හැමෝම දන්නවා මේ කොවිඩ් වසංගතයත් එක්ක හැමෝම හරිම නෙගටිව් විදිහට තමයි සංචාරක කර්මාන්තය දිහා බලන්නේ. We all are quite negative, especially the Sri Lankans, about the tourism industry. But with the expert ideas that you may have understood that. So in the future, in maybe another 1 year's time down the line, so there'll be a huge opportunities for the tourism specialist. So අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනා tourism industry එක මේ තිබුණට වැඩිය වේගයෙන් ඉදිරියේදී දියුණු වෙයි කියලා. ඒක තමයි මේ සංචාරක කර්මාන්තයේ තියෙන විශේෂත්වය. අතීතයේ සංචාරක කර්මාන්තයේ එක එක අවස්ථාවන් වල හරියම සංවේදී. දැන් ඉස්සල්ලාම ප්‍රශ්න අහපු දරුවත් මට මතකයි කිව්වා සංචාරක කර්මාන්තය හරියම සංවේදී කියලා. අපි තේරුම් අරන් තියෙනවා. පුංචි දෙයකටත් හරි ඉක්මනින් සැලෙනවා. ලංකාව විතර නෙවෙයි මුළු ලෝකෙම එහෙම තමයි. ඒක නිසා ඒ වෙනස්කම් වලට එතකොට එක එක වෙනස්කම් වලට භාජනය වෙනවා මේ සෙන්සිටිවිටි එකත් එක්ක. ඒ චේන්ජස් වලට භාජනය වෙමින් යන සංචාරක කර්මාන්තයට ගැළපෙන විදිහේ උපාධිධාරීන් තමයි අපි බිහි කරන්න ඕනේ රටක් විදිහට. ඒ අවශ්‍යතාවය තේරුම් අරගෙන තමයි ශ්‍රී ලංකා තාක්ෂණික විශ්වවිද්‍යාලය ටෙක්නොලොජිකල් කැම්පස් එක tourism degrees මේ අපේ තියෙන tourism degree programs තුනම ඒකට අදාළ වෙන විදිහට තාක්ෂණයත් එක්ක එකතු වෙලා නව තාක්ෂණයත් එක්ක එකතු වෙලා තමයි අපේ degree programs තුනම හදලා තියෙන්නේ. විශේෂයෙන්ම e-tourism and digital marketing කියන degree එක. මම මේක ගැන විශේෂයෙන්ම කතා කරන්නේ මේ දවස්වල වැඩිම demand එකක් තියෙන වැඩිම ඉල්ලුමක් තියෙන degree program එක තමයි මේ ඒ program එක. මොකද මිනිස්සු දන්නවා දැන් පහුගිය කාලේ වෙච්ච වෙනස්කම් එක්ක දැන් මිස්ටර් ක්‍රිස් එහෙම කතා කරද්දී ඔයගලන්ට තේරෙන්න ඇති. අලුත් වෙනස්කම් වලට භාජනය වෙලා තියෙන එක මිනිස්සු ගොඩාක් ටෙක්නොලොජි එකත් එක්ක යන්නේ ටුවරිසම් හෝ ඕනම ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකක් වුණාම දැන් මේ දවස්වල අපි දන්නවා දැන් හැමෝම ඔන්ලයින් ඉන්නේ. ඒක නිසා ඒ වෙනස්කම් එක්ක යන නිසා වෙන්න ඇති මේ ටුවරිසම් අපේ මේ ඩිග්‍රී එකට අපිට ලොකු ඉල්ලුමක් තියෙනවා මේ දවස්වල. ඒ කියන්නේ අනිත් ඩිග්‍රීස් නැහැයි කියන එක නෙමෙයි. හැම ඩිග්‍රී එකටම එහෙමයි විශේෂ උනන්දුවක් තියෙනවා කියලා අපිට තේරෙනවා මේ ඩිග්‍රී ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එකට. ඒක නිසා අපි ඇත්තට මේ කොවිඩ් වසංගතයට මුහුණ දෙන්නත් ඉස්සෙල්ලා තමයි මේ ඩිග්‍රී ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එක හැදුවේ. මේක ලංකාවේ ප්‍රථම වතාවට තමයි මේ තියෙන e-tourism and digital marketing කියන ඩිග්‍රී ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එක. ඒක තමයි ඒක ලොකු විශේෂත්වයක් මේ අවස්ථාවේ අපි ශ්‍රී ලංකා තාක්ෂණික විශ්වවිද්‍යාලය විසින් ලබා දෙන මොන ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එක වුණත් අපේ හැම ඩිග්‍රී ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එකක්ම මේ rapidly changing tourism industry එකට හරියන විදිහට තමයි ඒකට align වෙන විදිහට තමයි ඩිග්‍රී ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම්ස් හදලා තියෙන්නේ. අපේ ගොඩාක්ම අපි priority එකක් දෙනවා අවස්ථාවක් දෙනවා තාක්ෂණයත් එක්ක සම්බන්ධ වෙලා වෙන වෙනස්කම් අපේ කරිකියුලම්ස් වලට අපේ දරුවන්ගේ න්‍යායික සහ ප්‍රායෝගික පුහුණුවන් වලට ඇතුල් කරන්න. ඒ වගේම තමයි අපේ දරුවන්ට අපි මේ ඉගෙන ගන්න නායික පුහුණුවට අමතරව විශේෂයෙන්ම අපි ප්‍රායෝගික පුහුණුව ලබා දෙනවා. හැම අවුරුද්දකම ඒකත් අපේ විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ තියෙන විශේෂත්වයක්. හැම අවුරුද්දක් අවසානයේම පළවෙනි වසරේ ඉඳලා හතරවෙනි වසර වෙනකම්ම at the end of every year the students will get a practical exposure in the industry. At least 2 to 3 months they will be sent to the industry to get a practical exposure in each and every year until they complete the degree programs. So එක විශේෂත්වය. එතකොට අපේ දරුවන්ට අපි දැන් මේ පන්ති කාමරේ උගන්වන දේ ඒගොල්ලෝ ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකට ගිහිල්ලා අත්දකිනවා. එයාලයින්ස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, ඊළඟට travel agencies වෙන්න පුළුවන්, නැත්නම් හොටෙල් ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එක වෙන්න පුළුවන්, නැත්නම් ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්න ඔන්ලයින් travel agencies කියන ඒ ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකේ වෙන්න පුළුවන් ඕනම ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එක. then our students will get the exposure, practical exposure. එතකොට ඒගොල්ලෝ ඒ හොඳ understanding එකත් එක්ක තමයි ඊළඟ අවුරුද්ද ඉගෙන ගන්න එන්නේ. ඒක නිසා අපිට බය නැහැ ඇත්තටම උසස් අධ්‍යාපන ආයතනයක් විදිහට අපේ වගකීම අපි හිතනවා ඉෂ්ට කරලා තියෙනවා. මේ ලෝකේ වෙන මොන කොවිඩ් වසංගතය හෝ වෙන යම් උවදුරක් වුණත් අපි සූදානම් වෙලා ඉන්නවා අපෙන් එළියට යන මේ උපාධිය ලබාගෙන එළියට යන දරුවන්ට අවශ්‍ය ප්‍රායෝගික සහ න්‍යායික පුහුණුව ලබා දීලා ඔවුන්ව සංචාරක ශාස්ත්‍රයේ ලෝකයේ සහ ලංකාවේ සංචාරක ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨ පිළිගන්න ලීඩර්ස්ලා විදිහට they will be accepted by the global and Sri Lankan tourism industry. That is our main objective. ඒ විදිහට අපේ දරුවන්ව ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකට යවන්න තමයි අපි හැම වෙලේම උත්සාහ කරන්නේ. මම හිතනවා මම ඔයාගේ ප්‍රශ්නෙට උත්තර ලැබුණා කියලා. දුන්නා කියලා.
Thank you, Dr. Binoshi. Thank you very much. I think Dr. Binoshi have already given a very correct answer. Sinhalen we English වලින් දෙකෙන් explain කරා. So is there any other questions you would like to ask? Please text us. So we have a question raised by Umidu. So I think we have answered that question already.
I also have another question.
Please go ahead.
What options and opportunities do we have as students to expose to the Sri Lankan and global tourism industry, and what kind of support and guidance SLTC provide differently? මට දැනගන්න ඕනේ ශිෂ්‍යෝ විදිහට ගෝලීය හා ශ්‍රී ලාංකික සංචාරක කර්මාන්තයට නිරාවරණය වෙන්න අපිට තියෙන අවස්ථා හා විකල්ප මොනවාද? ඒ සඳහා SLTC අපට දක්වන විශේෂ සහයෝගය හා මඟ පෙන්වීම මොන වගේද?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think Dr. Binoshi would like to answer this question, or Dr. Shamini want to answer this question?
I will start the question, then Dr. Shamini might join.
Yeah.
So,
yes, okay.
Ursula, thank you very much for the question. මම හිතන්නේ මගේ ඉස්සෙල්ලා ප්‍රශ්නේ ඉතුරු ටික එක ඒ ටික කියලා දෙන්න ඒ ටික විස්තර කරන්න බැරි වුන නිසා වෙන්නේ නැති දරුවා ඒක අහන්නේ. ඇත්තටම කිව්වොත් so we know that with the rapidly changing tourism industry, we have to align our degrees, whatever the education, the tourism or whatever the education that we provide as a higher educational institute, we have to align with the global requirement, not only a Sri Lankan requirement. So that is why I told you that so we all were trying to explain you that we should align our degree programs with the industry requirement. So the tourism industry particularly, it's rapidly and very, very fast changing industry. So ඒක තේරුම් අරගෙන අපි තීරණය කරලා තියෙනවා අපේ ශ්‍රී ලංකා තාක්ෂණික විශ්වවිද්‍යාලය විදිහට අපේ දරුවන්ට අපි ළඟට අපි ගැන විශ්වාසයක් තියාගෙන එන සංචාර කල්පනාකරන ඉගෙන ගන්න අපේ දරුවන්ට විශේෂ අවස්ථාවන් සහ ලබා දෙන්න මේ ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකට ග්ලෝබල් ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකට සහ ශ්‍රී ලංකන් ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකට අනුකූලව ඒකේ එක්ස්පෝෂර් එක ලබා ගන්න. ඒ ප්‍රායෝගික දැනුම ලබා ගන්න. ඒක නිසා තමයි අපි සිංගප්පූරුවේ ඉතාම ලෝකේ high rank university එකක් වෙන ජේම්ස් කුක් යුනිවර්සිටි එකත් එක්ක එකතු වෙලා අපේ දරුවන්ට අපි ලබා දීලා තියෙනවා අවස්ථාවක් අවුරුදු දෙකක් අපේ කැම්පස් එකේ ඉගෙනගෙන ඊළඟ අවුරුදු දෙක සිංගප්පූරුවේ ඒගොල්ලන්ට අධ්‍යාපන ලබන්න පුළුවන්. So the first 2 years they will complete their degree program in Sri Lanka, and the second 2 years they can get the Singapore experience and exposure. So we have to accept that the Singapore is an emerging country and they have already developed in all the aspects, technology, tourism, and all the other industrial the sectors in the they are in a playing a very big role in the international tourism industry. So we think that we believe that that's a very good opportunity for our students. ඒ වගේම අවුරුදු දෙක එතකොට ඒගොල්ලන්ට ඩිග්‍රීස් දෙකම ගන්න පුළුවන්. ලංකාවේ තාක්ෂණික විශ්වවිද්‍යාලය ලබා දෙන UGC එක රෙකග්නයිස් කරන ටූරිසම් මැනේජ්මන්ට් ඩිග්‍රී එක සහ JCU ඩිග්‍රී එක දෙකම ලබා ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ වගේම තමයි අපි ඒගොල්ලන්ට අවස්ථාව දී තියෙන අපේ දරුවන්ට මාස 6ක් ඕනනම් ගිහිලා සිංගප්පූරුව එක්ස්පීරියන්ස් එක අරගෙන ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රීස් දැකලා රට දැකලා ඒගොල්ලොත් එක්ක ඉගෙනගෙන ඒ අවස්ථාවත් අපි ලබා දීලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේ අපි ග්ලෝබල් ටූරිසම් ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකට අපේ දරුවන්ව නිතරම යොමු කරනවා ඒ තියෙන අවස්ථාවත් අනුව ඒගොල්ලන්ට එක්ස්පීරියන්ස් එක ගන්න. ඒ වගේම තමයි ලංකාවේ අපි හැම වෙලාවෙම ප්‍රායෝගික පුහුණුව සඳහා දරුවන් යොමු කරනවට අමතරව අපේ දරුවන්ට අපි හැම වෙලාවෙම we always try to give them the industry exposure. So we have tied up with many industries in Sri Lanka. So the airline, travel agencies, hotel sector, ඒ හැම sector එකක් එක්කම එකතු වෙලා අපේ දරුවන්ට අපි සංචාරක ව්‍යාපාරයත් එක්ක එකතු වෙලා ලංකාවේ අපි දරුවන්ව රිසර්ච් සඳහා යොමු කරනවා. ඒ වගේම ප්‍රොජෙක්ට්ස් ව්‍යාපෘති සඳහා යොමු කරනවා. ඒ වගේම විෂය පරිබාහිර කටයුතු ඒ අපි අර ස්ලයිඩ්ස් වල දකින්න ඇති යෝගා, මෙඩිටේෂන්, adventure activities and the field visits ඒ වගේ හැම දෙයක්ම ප්‍රායෝගිකව අත්දකින්න අවස්ථාව අපි ලබා දෙනවා. අපිට පොඩි පසුබෑමක් ඇති වුණා පසුගිය වසරේ මේ කොවිඩ් වසංගතය. එහෙනම් ඒ වුණත් ඒ හැම දෙයක්මත් එක්ක කොවිඩ් වසංගතයත් එක්ක වුණත් අපිට පුළුවන් තරම් අපේ දරුවන්ව අපි බාහිර ලෝකයේත් එක්ක ටූරිසම් ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකත් එක්ක ලෝකයේ සහ ලංකාවේ අපි යොමු කරා ඒගොල්ලන්ව. ඒක තමයි මට කියන්න පුළුවන් විදිහට අපි දෙන විශේෂත්වය අපේ දරුවන්ට අපි ළඟට එන දරුවන්ට සංචාරක ව්‍යාපාර අධ්‍යයනය හැදෑරීම සඳහා. මම හිතනවා මම උත්තරේ ලබා දුන්නා කියලා ඔබේ ප්‍රශ්නයට.
Thank you, Dr. Binoshi.
Dr. Sharmini,
like that.
add කරන්න තියනවා නම්?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Binoshi. Thank you, Mr. Rumesh. Yeah, so I think Dr. Binoshi, overall, in a nutshell, she highlighted what SLTC does and what our focus is and what are the opportunities that we create. And like Mr. Chris already explained to us, Seychelles being an island or a destination that depends their revenue over at least 80% through the tourism industry. How they have looked into transforming their services and linking all their services along with the accommodation services with the use of the digital technology and what importance they give in the digital and e-tourism aspect. And if you take again the example that we had even through one of our own panelists from Singapore, how Singapore has been operating as a smart city and how they are looking into improving their services. So similarly, that is the trend. That is the trend now and even in the upcoming in the tourism sector. So if you take countries like Japan, they are also turning their services into smart city operations. So now why we bring this global context in our webinars or in our discussions with the experts representing the leading tourism destinations is also to give you all the exposure about how we need to develop as individuals to be engaged actively and effectively in the tourism industry for the future. So these leading destinations are, sharing their experiences and they have tied up with us like Singapore, and in the long term, we can also look into the possibility of receiving services from Seychelles and any other leading tourism destinations to give our undergraduates the opportunities to expose themselves and learn by actively engaging and learn by actively learn by doing in the context of the modern technology and the development in the industries. So that is our commitment with the support of these tourism destinations globally, because we are not only focused in the local context, but to outreach to the global context as well, as this is an industry that has to have a good balance between local and the international context. So I believe Dr. Binoshi answered almost all the questions that were asked in the SLTC context, and our international panelists did answer and contributed a lot in terms of the changing trends and how we can link better services through these expertise required through technology as well as according to the changing circumstances in the industry. So it's about your commitment as undergraduates to develop self-confidence in yourself, to reskill yourself, and to be a part of this wonderful industry to move forward while being very, very confident and to uplift the industry again and again for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shamini. I would like to invite Dr. Thiru to give his thoughts about the as well.
Dr. Thiru, there's a question in the chat box.
Okay, sorry.
You can touch upon.
Yes, go ahead with the question.
So, Shavitri, she has asked, hi, I'm engaged with chemistry and agriculture education, but also have a huge interest in tourism. So how she can involve in tourism? So that would be a good question if Dr. Thiru can touch upon.
Okay, I'm not sure if that's a question directed to me. There might be other specialists on that, but let me take the question. And I would think that in tourism, there is no end to the different types of activities one can present to a visitor. So in terms of, you mentioned an interest in agriculture, and your training is partly chemistry as well. So let's just take agriculture as an example. So if you're in Sri Lanka, you may have the tea plantation. I think tea plantation is one of the biggest thing of the 18th and 19th century, and it continues still today as well. And that could be one part of tourist interest, to try and see the different grades of tea. How do you actually smell the tea, taste the tea, and how do you know what is the quality of the tea that one should look for as part of a larger landscape of the tourist travel route? I'm not sure what type of agricultural sector you are in, but you can imagine that there are tourists who like to go visit the agricultural sector as well. It could be the aquaculture, it could be farm tourism, it could be fruit tourism, it could be just having a lodge in the in a farm and then enjoying the sundown with a nice food, and that could be part of that tourism experience as well. So there are plenty of opportunities all around the world. Agriculture is also part of tourism as well. Thank you. I think that's my answer to that particular question.
Thank you, Dr. Thiru. I think so I would like to add a few more points for the question. So agriculture tourism is one of upcoming trend in Sri Lanka. So people are trying to move to so we have ecotourism, but from ecotourism the agriculture tourism is trying to be separate and try to give an experience our local agriculture techniques, local agriculture procedures for tourists. So there are a lot of opportunities. So as Dr. Thiru said, tourism is not, it's not a, you can't point and say this is tourism. It's a vast area. You can, it's connected with all the fields that we name it. Thank you.
I just want to add one more point, and the participant had also mentioned chemistry, right? Even if you have chemistry, you have a role in tourism, because there are, if you connect with the industry, I'm talking about businesses and businesses that are manufacturing certain kind of chemicals, and often they have visitors from overseas coming to visit the different plants or manufacturing companies that relates to chemical. And if you know the economics of chemistry, you can be a tourist guide, just giving them a guided tour of the different industries that relate to chemistry. So there is no end to one's specialization being employed in the industry. I say this with experience, because I was also once a tourist guide and I was an economic specialist. So I brought tourists to the many different, to the port, to the businesses and to the industries that had smokestack, and explain what is pollution and how the industries convert some of the pollution into a safe type of pollution, but still pollution. So there you go. There are ways that you can actually use your expertise in the industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thiru. Thank you. Is there any other questions you would like to ask?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, what is tourism COVID-19 situation after after COVID situation after tourism is after tourism.
සිංහලෙන් අහන්නත් පුළුවන්. අහන්න මොනවද ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවද? You can ask in both languages.
සංචාරක කර්මාන්තය දැන් කොවිඩ් වසංගතයේ තුල අපිට මේ ලැබෙන වෙනස්කම් මොකක්ද? කියන්නේ සංචාරක කර්මාන්තය තුල කොවිඩ් වසංගතයෙන් පසු සංචාරකයන්ට නවතම අත්දැකීම් වලට මුහුණ දෙන්න පුළුවන් වෙනවද නැත්නම් නව තාක්ෂණික ක්‍රම උපයෝගී කර ගනිමින් සංචාරකයන්ට ලැබෙන ප්‍රතිලාභ සහ සංචාරක හෝටල් වලින් ඔවුන්ට ලැබෙන මේ අත්දැකීම් මොනවද කියලා දැන් මම අහන්නේ.
Yes, I'm at a meeting.
ඒකට මම උත්තර දෙන්නම්. මම හිතන්නේ දරුවෝ ඇහුවේ අපේ සංචාරක ශාස්ත්‍රය විශේෂයෙන්ම අපේ රටේ කොයිතරම් ලැහැස්තිද කියලා දැන් සංචාරකයන් පිළිගන්න මේ කොවිඩ් වසංගතයෙන් පස්සේ කියන එක. මම හිතන්නේ දැන් මේ අවුරුදු එකමාරක් ඇත්තටම අපි මේ කොවිඩ් වසංගතේ එකපාරටම අපේ ලංකාවට ආවහම අපේ පෙර සූදානමක් තිබුණේ නැහැ. අපි විතරක් නෙමෙයි, most of the countries in the world they were not prepared to accept this kind of a pandemic in the industry. ඒක දැන් ඒ වුණාට අවුරුදු එකමාරකට පස්සේ මේ ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකේ හොටෙල් ශාස්ත්‍රය වෙන්න පුළුවන්, එයාර්ලයින්ස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, වෙන එක destinations වෙන්න පුළුවන්. They have done lot of changes accepting the tourists. ඒක නිසා තමයි මේ tourism industry එක කියන එක මම නිකන් බේසික් කියනවා නම්, බොහොම සාරාංශයක් විදිහට කියනවා නම් මේ කොවිඩ් වසංගතයේ නෙමෙයි, තවත් මොන වසංගත මොන වෙනස්කම් ආවත් tourism කියන ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එක නැතු යන ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකක් නෙමෙයි. ලෝකෙ පටන් ගත්ත දා ඉඳලා ලෝකෙ ඉවර වෙන තැනට යනකම් මිනිස්සු travel කරනවා. මිනිස්සු visit කරනවා එක එක තැන්වල. එතකොට ඒ visit කරන එකත් එක්ක එක එක වෙනස්කම් වලට භාජනය වෙමින් තමයි මේක ඉදිරියට යන්නේ. මොකද ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එක විසින් ඒගොල්ලොන් විසින්ම හොයා ගන්නවා එක එක දේවල් recovery strategies. කොහොමද මේක අපි රිකවර් වෙන්නේ කියලා. ඒක නිසා තමයි දැන් ග්ලෝබල් ටුවරිසම් අපේ මිස්ටර් ක්‍රිෂ් කතා කරා සීෂෙල්ස් වල ඒගොල්ලෝ කොහොමද ඒකට ටෙක්නොලොජි එක උපයෝගී කරගෙන ඒගොල්ලෝ කොහොමද මේ වසංගතෙන් ගැලවෙන්න සහ වසංගතෙන් පස්සෙන ටුවරිස්ට්ව පිළිගන්න ලැහැස්ති වුණේ කියලා. එයාලගේ හොටෙල්ස් පුංචි දූපතක් විදියට ඒවා වෙනස්කම් වලට භාජනය වෙලා තාක්ෂණයත් එක්ක මේ ටුවරිසම් කියන ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එක පවත්වාගෙන යන්න සහ ඒක දියුණු කරගෙන යන්න කොහොමද සූදානම් වෙන්නේ සහ ඒගොල්ලෝ කරගෙන යන්නේ කියන එක ගැන ඩොක්ටර් තිරු කතා කරා. ඒ වගේම තමයි ලංකාවත් එක එක දැන්ටත් ටුවරිසම් ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එක ටුවරිසම් කියන එක තියෙනවා. එක යම් ආකාරයෙන් තියෙනවා. ඒක නිසා තමයි අපේ රටට දැනට වුණත් අද වුණත් අපේ බෝඩර්ස් 100%ක්ම ඇරියොත් මුළු ලෝකෙම අද වුණත් අපේ රට සංචාරය කරනවා මේ වසංගතයක් තිබුණා හා නැති වුණා හරි. ඒ වුණාට ඒගොල්ලොන් දැන් ඩොක්ටර් ශාමිනිත් කතා කරා ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ සේෆ්ටි එක ගැන බලනවා. ඒක නිසා තමයි හැම හෝටලයක්ම දැන් ඉස්සර තිබුණ සර්විස් එකට අමතරව සර්විස් ලෙවල් ගැන අපි ඉස්සර හැමදාම කතා කරේ හෝටල් එක හෝ එයාර්ලයින් එක හරි ඕනම දෙයක the priority was the service. Now we have another priority. That's the safety and security. Safety, health and safety of all the passengers, so all the customers in the industry. ඒක නිසා අපිට දැන් අලුත් ට්‍රෙන්ඩ් එකක් තියෙනවා හෝටල් වල සහ ඕනම ටුවරිසම් හා සම්බන්ධ ඕනම ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එක අපි ළඟට එන මිනිස්සුන්ගේ health and safety එකට health and safety assure වෙන විදිහට ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ සනීප ආරක්ෂාව සෞඛ්‍ය ගැන විශේෂයෙන්ම අවධානය යොමු කරලා ඒකට අවශ්‍ය එක එක විධිවිධාන ගන්න. ඒක නිසා තමයි isolation තියෙනවා. දැන් එක group visit දෙන්නේ අපි කතා කරේ ඒකයි mass tourism and individual tourism ගැන. ගොඩාක් groups වශයෙන් යන්නේ නැතුව දැන් පවුල් වශයෙන් සහ solo travelers ලා තනියම යන tourism එකක් අපේ ලෝකේ දැන් දකින්න පුළුවන්. ඒවා තමයි emerging trends in the world. තනියම travel කරනවා. අර කුඩා දූපත් වලට යන්න අවස්ථා දැන් මිනිස්සු පෙළඹෙනවා වැඩි. ඒ වගේම තනි හෝටල් වලට ලොකු ගොඩාක් කාමරයකට තියෙන හෝටල්ස් වලට වැඩි විලා ටයිප් එකේ. ඒ වගේ isolated hotels වලට retreats වලට ද ඇග්‍රෝ ටූරිසම් ගැන කතා කරා, ඉකෝ ටූරිසම් ගැන කතා කරා. අන්න ඒ වගේ දේවල් වලට ඔබනවා වැඩි දැන් අපිට පේනවා ටූරිසම් කියන එක. ඒකින්ද මොන විදිහෙන් හරි health and safety කියන concept එක, health and safety මිනිසුන්ගේ සෞඛ්‍ය ආරක්ෂාව ගැන වඩාත්ම වැදගත් වෙන විදිහේ ටූරිසම් ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකක් තමයි දැන් අපිට ඉදිරියේදී දකින්න ලැබෙන්නේ. ඒක නිසා තමයි ටූරිසම් ඉගෙන ගන්න ලැහැස්ති වෙලා ඉන්න හැම කෙනෙක්ටම මේ වෙනස්කම් වලට මුහුණ දෙන්න විදිහට අපේ රටක් විදිහට සහ අපි ජනතාවක් විදිහට ලැහැස්ති වෙන්න ඕනේ.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Binoshi. Thanks for the question as well, and thanks for the answer.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, is there any other questions from the audience? So looks like there's no questions. I think they have already covered all the aspects that they would like to ask. So, Dr. Binoshi, you want to add something, or you can?
අවසාන වශයෙන් මට කියන්න තියෙන්නේ අපේ රටේ දරුවන්ට සංචාරක ශාස්ත්‍රයට පිවිසෙන්න ආසාවෙන් සහ කැමැත්තෙන් ඉන්න දරුවන්ට මේ අවස්ථාවේ ඔබට හිතෙනවා නම් සංචාරක ශාස්ත්‍රයට එකතු වෙන එක අවදානමක් තියෙනවා, මේක ඉගෙනගෙන වැඩක් තියෙයිද, මේ ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එක ඉදිරියට සස්ටේන් වෙයිද, තියෙයිද, මොකක් වෙයිද අපේ රැකියාවන් වලට අපි මේ සංචාරක අධ්‍යාපනය ලැබුවට අපිට වැඩක් වෙයිද කියන එක තියෙනවා නම් ඒ සැකේ දුරු කර ගන්න ඕනේ. මොකද සංචාරක ශාස්ත්‍රයේ තමයි සංචාරක ව්‍යාපාරයේ තමයි සියලුම අනිත් හැම ව්‍යාපාරයකටම වැඩි ඉක්මනින්ම යථා තත්ත්වයට පත් වෙලා දියුණු වෙන ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එක. ලංකාවේ විතරක් නෙමෙයි. අපි වෙන විෂයක් හදාරනවට වැඩිය ඇත්තටම අපි කියනවා නම් වෙනත් සාම්ප්‍රදායික විෂය මාලාවක් හදාරනවට වැඩිය ටූරිසම් මැනේජ්මන්ට් ඉගෙන ගන්න එකේ තියෙන ප්‍රයෝජනය තමයි ලංකාවට නෙමෙයි අපි ග්‍රැජුවේට්ස් හදාන්නේ. ලංකාවට විතරක් නෙමෙයි අපි දරුවන්ව සූදානම් කරන්නේ. මුළු ලෝකෙටම ගැලපෙන විදිහට ලංකාවේ මොනවා හරි ඔයගලන්ට තේරෙන මොනවා හරි පසුබෑමක් තියෙනවා නම් මුළු ලෝකෙම බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන ලෝකයටම ඔයගලන්ව බාර ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ විදිහට තමයි අපේ අධ්‍යාපනය අපි සැකසිය යුත්තේ. සංචාරක අධ්‍යාපනය අපි ඒක නිසා තමයි SLTC එකෙන් හැම වෙලේම උත්සාහ කරන්නේ මේ නව ක්‍රමවේදයන්ට සහ නවෝපායනයන්ට අදාළ වෙන විදිහට මේ ට්‍රෙන්ඩ්ස් එක්ක ටෙක්නොලොජිකල් චේන්ජස් එක්ක යන විදිහට සංචාරක අධ්‍යාපනය ලබා දෙන්න අපේ දරුවන්ට. එතකොට ලංකාවේ සහ ලෝකේ පිළිගත් ග්‍රැජුවේට් කෙනෙක් විදිහට ඔයගලන්ට මුණ දෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ වගේම තමයි මේ ලෝකේ පවතින කල් travel and tourism කියන සෙක්ටර් එක තියෙනවා. අනිත් හැම ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකකටම වැඩිය අපි දන්නා මේ හැම ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකකම මේ පහුගිය අවුරුදු එකමාරේ ලංකාව විතර නෙවෙයි මුළු ලෝකෙම ලොකු පසුබෑමකට ලක් වුණා. ඒ රිකවර් වෙලා සස්ටේන් වුණේ එකම ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එක තමයි මේ ඔන්ලයින් ප්ලැට්ෆෝම්ස්. දැන් ඔය Zoom වගේ දේවල්, ඔන්ලයින් এডুকেෂන්, all the online platforms විතරයි ඒ ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රීස් විතරයි කඩාගෙන වැටුනේ නැති. අනිත් හැම ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකම පසුබෑමකට ලක් වුණා. ඒ වගේම තමයි ගොඩක් ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රීස් වලට ටිකක් කල් යනවා රිකවර් වෙන්න. But the tourism industry will have a very fast recovery because people start traveling. ඒක නිසා ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකට එන්න බය වෙන්න එපා, අධ්‍යාපනය ලබන්න බය වෙන්න එපා. ඕගොල්ලෝ එළියට යන දවසට තව අවුරුද්දකින් හෝ දෙකකින් හෝ මේ ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එක මේ තිබුණා වගේ ගොඩාක් මේ තිබුණට වඩා මේ ලෝකයේ සහ ලංකාවේ තාක්ෂණයත් එක්ක එකතු වෙලා වෙනස්කම් වලට භාජනය වෙලා ගොඩාක් දියුණු වෙන්න නියමිතයි. ඒක තමයි රිසර්චර්ස්ලා මිනිස්සු හොයාගෙන තියෙන දේ දැන්. ඒක නිසා ඒකට සූදානම් වෙන්න කියන එක තමයි අපි ඔයගලන්ට කියන්නේ.
Dr. Binoshi, Dr. Shamni, would you like to add a few things as a conclusion?
Yes, thank you very much, Ramesh. Yes, as Dr. Binoshi very correctly said, tourism industry, as much as any other industry in the business sector, will be exposed to challenges. That is what overall a business is. And the technology is a part and parcel of our lives, which we cannot avoid anymore. So yes, the tourism industry will also have to take a turn towards involved in the technology and further developing our services. So as undergraduates, you can look into a career that will give you immense opportunity. As Dr. Thiru also correctly said, tourism is not, it cannot be confined into one particular or few particular areas. It's a industry that is attached to all the other industries and the sectors as well. So similarly, the opportunities are as such as well for us to grow. So bring in the technology and then continuing to evolve is a part and parcel of our industry. So as undergraduates, you can see in the next 2 to 3 years, by the time that you are to graduate and move into the industry, if you keep improving yourself, if you keep developing yourself continuously, and if you apply the concept of continuous improvement, then definitely this is an industry that can help you to develop not just locally, but also globally as well. So thank you, and wishing
Thank
you
you
all
once again, Dr. Shamini. Mr. Chris, I would like to ask you to give a small advice on our students who are willing to engage their education in e-tourism and digital marketing. What do you like to add on that?
What I wanted to say is, looking at COVID definitely has been a big threat to the industry, but it has also give us an opportunity in terms of it's reset a little bit the industry and the expectation where now we see a lot of users are going online. They want to see the businesses available online. They want to be taken care of online. So as a business, even in Seychelles, what we've seen, even your most traditional business who were not really interested in online, they've had to make the step. They had to go there because this is where your customers are. And you need to go there, you need to meet your customers. So if you are looking to join the tourism industry and become a digital marketer, for example, or join the technological transformation, now is a very good time because now it's reset. Everyone is basically back on zero, trying to get an edge and get the traffic. And the challenge also with that is the platforms now are very competitive. You need to fight a lot for you to get the attention you would want for the businesses you represent. So, but if you do it right, if you put the focus and you continue learning, you will be able to get that edge. Because I think it's been said earlier that tourism and technology, it's ever changing, it's continuously changing. So you need to adapt and you need to be able to put your business out there and get the attention that will allow you to succeed as a business. So if you are having doubts and doubting COVID, what I can say, looking at the data we see in Seychelles, tourism industry will come back because we see the travel demands. It's still high, and a lot of visitors they want to travel, so they are not necessarily canceling whatever bookings they make in face of in despite the challenges, but they are postponing their traveling for later. So the talk now in the industry is that we will see a very high bounce back around 2022. So definitely the bounce back will happen. It's just a matter of time. So what we need to do now, if you want to join the industry, is get in there, start learning, and then once we bounce back, then you will be ready to take part and contribute as well.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for your valid words. Dr. Thiru, would you like to add something as a conclusion?
Yeah, just very briefly, I agree with my colleagues and panelists here, and I just want to add, as Dr. Binouschi and Dr. Shamini had mentioned, we are actually preparing students through the degree programs to be the managers. You are the next generation. You will have to, beyond just placing a cup of coffee or a glass of juice for the visitor, you are looking at the policy, you're looking at the plans, you're also looking at the strategies in which some of these tourism services are put in place for the visitors in the larger context of the tourism industry. And the other thing is that I agree, and hearing what Director Chris had emphasized the important role of digital marketing and the use of digital technology to ease consumer interface with travel service. I just want to add a couple of examples. In the US, the Holiday Inn, one of the higher end of the Holiday Inn brands, they provide a tablet in each of the hotel rooms. And this tablet is not for free, of course, but it is there for the guests to play around with. But one of the applications in the tablet connects to the dining hall, connects to the spa, and connects to the gym, and connects to a couple of other ancillary services or businesses, even beyond the hotel. So what the guest needs to do is just place an order, place a booking, place a reservation, depending on the service, all in that tablet in their room. So they don't have to call the hotel reception, or they don't have to call the restaurant, say, hey, I've got a family of 5 and I want to have, you don't have to do any of that. In fact, there's a menu, of course, with technology, you have everything in your palm, they say. And so what the guests would do is, just input all that information and then get going with their lives. So they don't need to disturb anybody, in the sense that the hotel also save costs on the personnel who answers the call. Instead, the hotel can use their people for higher level thinking and higher level planning, and not do the daily chores that there is at the hotel. So this is just one example. Now, there is another example in terms of technology being used. And this example relates to how, when you come into the hotel, all you need to do is, the hotel would have sent you your reservation confirmation, and there is just a robot or a machine at the lobby, and all you need to do is key in a couple of numbers, and then you'll get your key coming off from the machine, and then off you go with the directory, maybe another paper slip that comes with you, comes with the machine, and all you need to do is just read the numbers and head on to your room. But of course, there is always the personal service. The counter is there with the people manning the service. And again, these are some of the most exciting things that happen in our tourism industry. What I'm trying to emphasize here is that the tourism industry is a really exciting place to work in. There are multiple things that you can imagine that one can do in terms of job scope. And as you work your way up the ladder, who knows, one day you would be the Minister for Tourism and Hospitality, right? So start the journey, look for things that interest you, look for opportunities that will take you, think beyond Sri Lanka, think of Singapore, think of Dubai, think of New York. You might find a job anywhere in the world if you, prepare yourself to think a little bit broadly what the tourism industry can offer. So I wish you all the best with your career. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Dr. Thiru. So your valid information. So thank you all and all the presenters, and thank you everyone for attending today's webinar, Future of Tourism Education and the current context. If you have any other questions, please contact us on our general information line, SLTC. On behalf of SLTC, Sri Lanka Technological Campus, and our presenters, thank you for joining us today, and have a great day. Thank you very much.